Vision can sometimes be an abstract topic, so I'll try to make it more real and more grounded. When we think about vision, take a step back for a moment. If you close your eyes and say, what is your vision of yourself 20 years down the line? And you deliberately want to sometimes do this far enough out into the future, because a vision is not a short-term thing. You don't envision what you'll be like tomorrow because you probably know what you'll be like tomorrow. But when you push that further and further out, when you say, what will everything be like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and you push it far enough out, that's where having a vision, developing a vision becomes important. When you do this, what do you think about? Do you think about your career? Do you think about your relationships? Do you think about how much money you would make? Do you think about your position in life? Well, let's look at some of the things that people do think about. These are things you have, you possess, or rather you will possess in the future. And this is the zone in which most of us stay when we try to envision. I don't know what came to you when you thought of this, when you thought of the you 20 years from now, but this is the common place where most people stay. And then there's this other zone. These are things that you don't possess. These are things that you've become. These are part of you, your skills, your qualities, your character. And yes, the bubble on relationships and character are large because those are more important things. The career and wealth and skills and qualities you will find out matter less and make less of a difference in your ability to accomplish what you envision. This is not a comprehensive list. These are just some things that you would cover when you try to write down your vision for yourself. So at this stage, I'd encourage you, if you have a notepad, or if you have some kind of an app that you're taking notes in, just write 2 or 3 bullets on what is your vision 20 years from now. And I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. You should need more than that. Just 2 or 3 bullets. I know some of you want to fill the whole page, but don't. Just stop wherever you have. If you have 1 sentence, you have 1 bullet, that's okay too. When you have a vision, the very next thing that you should do is to think about your current reality. Let's say I want to become the best musician, and I haven't even started. My current reality is that I haven't even started. I want to learn to play the guitar, and I want to start learning basic notes, basic chords, start building on that. I need to know where I am, my starting point. If I want to learn to paint, and I've never held a brush in my life, I need to know that current reality. So it's very important for your vision to actually be grounded. And grounded in what? It has to be grounded in your current reality. This is about self-awareness. This is about knowing your own internal strengths and weaknesses and being realistic about them. Knowing your constraints and being realistic about them. And that doesn't mean you're not going to try to blow past your constraints, or you're not going to try to overcome any obstacles in front of you, but you need to know them. And that's where mapping out your current reality becomes a huge part of this exercise. What does that lead to? It leads to a line that forms between your current reality and your vision. And that line is what we call creative tension. This term sounds a little abstract, but let me break it down for you. If I want to be a CEO someday of a large corporation, and my current reality is that I have started there at the very bottom as a clerk. When I look at the CEO, I feel this creative tension of that's what I want to be, this is what I am. That tension of the difference between what I am and what I want to be, and you can take it in any field. I mentioned corporate field, but if you're a sportsman and you're playing the minor league and you want to play for the national team and you see those players on television, that creates a tension. That's what you want to be, this is what you are. This creative tension needs to be magnified and amplified, because it's this creative tension that gives you the impulse to move forward, that gives you the impulse to go take action. This gives you the impulse to, excuse my language, but get off your ass, go do something. And without this, most of us would succumb to inertia. So the other reason you want to envision and then map out your current reality is because when you do these two things, you trigger that creative tension and you're able to amplify it. So if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that the impulse for growth, and remember, we're talking about your roadmap for growth here, my roadmap for growth, it comes from envisioning, mapping out current reality, and identifying that creative tension and then magnifying it. That's where the growth impulse comes from. Okay. Let's jump into what a roadmap is. And this is a simpler part of it. Once you have a vision, you create a plan. The plan has goals and objectives that you need to realize your vision. In the earlier example, if I want to become a maestro guitar player, and my current reality is I've just started learning a few notes, I need to set some milestones for me. Within the next year, I'll learn a few songs. Within the next 3 years, I'll join a band. Within the next 5 years, I'll start playing full time and make that my career. Whatever those goals may be, you set them on a time scale. And a roadmap is simply that. It's your goals and objectives that are set on a time scale, and you can call them milestones. An important thing to understand is that as you set about this journey, you'll create a plan and you'll say, these are all the things I'll do. And we all know that never happens, right? There's an old saying that the best laid plans of men and mice fail. It's a really old saying, but always true. It's true. So what really happens? It's this. You create a plan. That's that straight line which you see on the graph, which is how you envision it going. And the bullseye at the end of that line is your vision. That's what you want to achieve. But you don't travel that way. As you go through executing your plan, you take this jagged path of ups and downs and ups and downs, whether it's you set a goal of getting into shape, and in 1 year I'm going to be in shape for being out in the beach, and then 6 months later you found that you actually gained 5 pounds or 5 kgs, and then you have to course correct and keep coming back to that line. So there's a jagged path, and we call it the tactical path. That's what you execute on, and that's okay. It's important to not be discouraged. Another important thing to understand is your next closest milestone will always be clear to you, which is this one, the first one, for example. And then your final vision will also be clear to you. But everything in between will be a little fuzzy. You see all these goals that look kind of half. They are not clear in your mind, in your mind's eye, as they say. And that's okay. That's how this works. So the one thing to take away here is your actual execution on the roadmap will never follow your plan, and that's okay.